Right, pause. How do I pause recording? If you have questions, you can type the questions in the chat. We'll have somebody monitoring them from here on out and be able to answer anything we have. So we'll come back to those questions in a little bit. I am sharing my screen for the annual meeting, and we're going to get rolling. So again, thanks guys for joining us for this annual meeting in a year that's a little different than others. So we're going to do our best we can to get all the information that GLLOA has out to you right now and prepare ourselves for a 2021 lacrosse season. So kind of a quick agenda. Again, we don't have all the board members as panelists on here. We just have a few. We also have John Vetter joining us. We're going to talk about the GLLOA mission statement, kind of reaffirm what we do as a lacrosse training organization. We're going to look a little bit at approving the membership of the board of directors. Then we'll talk a little bit about the COVID-19 protocol. What's out from the IHSA right now is bound to change. We'll talk about that. We do have a GLLOA award to go ahead and give that to somebody. We'll talk a couple websites. Then John Vetter from ILACS will come on and talk a little bit about his role as an assigning agent. Again, there's, GLLOA and ILACS are two completely separate organizations, but we kind of we try to work together as far as making sure everybody gets trained in a consistent manner. Tom Cummings, the state clinician, head clinician, will review the rules changes from 2021, which are just 2020 rules changes. Dave Kroc is going to talk about handling of coaches. We'll review the IHSA updates as far as the testing and when we need to get that stuff done. We'll talk about the GLLOA programs that are going to continue on this year. And then at the end of it, we'll hopefully have the last 5 or 10 minutes, if anyone wants to stay, talk a little about GLLOA. For the college aspect, that will be Dave Kroc will kind of lead that. So GLLOA, where is we? So the mission statement for GLLOA has always been to recruit, train, and retain officials for men's lacrosse. We want to do our best to offer the highest quality training. This year is a little bit of a great opportunity for us in that we can get a lot of attendees to attend these virtual events we'll be hosting and get a same consistent message out to everybody across, really across the state of Illinois. I believe GLLOA will be the only training organization for boys lacrosse in the state of Illinois, so it's a great opportunity for us to get a consistent message out to everybody, and then doing it from the comfort of your home as well. So this is kind of the mission statement of GLLOA. We typically ask GLLOA members to join 3 organizations, although it's not required. US Lacrosse is the first organization, and they do a great job of offering referee insurance, and they also do provide some official development. Now, in the past couple of years, the official development has not kind of been to what we were used to in the years past, but again, they still do have some good official development stuff on the US Lacrosse website. I also believe if you're working youth games, it's a requirement, and if Scott, if you can let me know, is that a requirement for officials that referee youth games to join US Lacrosse?
It is a requirement, yes, for insurance.
Okay, so if you are officiating youth games, you do need to be a US Lacrosse member. The second membership is the GLLOA, Great Lakes Lacrosse Officials Association. Again, and we're there to train and develop officials and become to a consistent a group of officiating. The last one is if you're officiating high school lacrosse in the state of Illinois, you need to be an IHSA member. The IHSA does all the background checks. They also provide the online testing and the clinicians that will be leading the clinics for the GLLOA. And then I don't know if we're going to have playoffs or not this year. That's still up in the air. But if it is, that all goes through the IHSA as well. So I think as of this morning, we had about 135 registered officials on the state of Illinois on the IHSA website. Did I go through everything? All right, let's see. All right, here we go. So one of the things we look at as far as beginning to look at some accomplishments we've had as an organization. one of the accomplishments that we're doing this year is it's completely free for training for all your clinics. We know last year a lot of people paid for the clinics and paid for the GLLOA membership, and before the season started we were shut down. Unfortunately, we couldn't reimburse last year. Essentially everything we brought in was spent at our Hoffman trainings and at our Naperville Central trainings, so we really couldn't bring anything in. So we're offering free membership this year. And then we're also continuing to offer our first year free memberships for all first year officials in general. The purpose behind that is to get more people interested in officiating men's lacrosse, boys lacrosse in the state of Illinois. The weekly newsletter, we're going to continue that on this year as well. John Harris, who's a lacrosse board member, a former coach from the south suburbs, he's going to take over the weekly newsletter role from me. We're going to try and again work on getting officials promoted. The different stats, the different statuses from the state of Illinois, X, R, and C. So again, if you're in your third year, you can go for promotion. We'll talk a little bit about that. Tom Cummings, I know he's no longer on the National Federation Rules Committee. He just finished his term, but last year he was a member of the National Federation Rules Committee. Tom Ellis, who is a board member, is also on the IHSA Lacrosse Advisory Committee. In 2019, 5 of the 6 officials that officiated the state championship were members of GLLOA. So that's a big accomplishment to the lacrosse, to GLLOA as well. And then finally, we had Nitin Rao, Scott Rogowski, and Dave Kroc all getting Division I assignments in NCAA. And that's, again, another great resource that we can use, bringing those guys in to help us out and to provide us some information. So those are the accomplishments we had in 2019. 2020, we didn't get going. I had a scrimmage, and that was about it. So this year, everything's free, and let's get ourselves a consistent message across the board. The first thing we're going to do is try and confirm the board of directors. This is going to be a different kind of format. Normally, in a in-person meeting, we would have a member seek recognition of the floor. The chairman would recognize that member. The member would make a motion to approve the board of directors. Another member would second that motion. The chairman states the question. If we need to have any debate, we would have debate back and forth. We'll put the question to a vote. All in favor would say aye. Anybody opposed would say no. What we're going to do differently this year is, and I don't know if this is okay in the bylaws, but we're going to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and propose to you the lacrosse board that we have for 2021. If you are in favor of that, you can just stay muted. Or if you are opposed to that in the chat, please let us know that you're opposed to that, and we'll continue on from there. So the board, as brought upon this year, Nick Brescia, who, even though he's been not active the last few years, continues to stay on as far as our legal counsel. If we have any legal issues, he'll be there. Gary Danklau, again, former president of a high school lacrosse club, as well as a very valuable resource in our Naperville clinics. So he's going to continue on as a board member, and he'll be kind of in charge of some web and technical aspects. David Kroc, again, is going to be looking at mentoring. He's a former GLLOA president, father of some lacrosse officials as well, so he's going to be involved. Scott Rogowski is the treasurer. Bob Walters, who is our U.S. lacrosse kind of liaison as far as the officiating aspect goes, he's going to keep on working on training, and he's going to be off the field this year, and he's going to be a valuable asset in observations. Tom Ellis will also work with training and mentoring. We're going to talk a little bit about trying to get some more group chats going on with some questions that first-year officials, second-year officials are going to see, so we can kind of get a consistent answer. Tom Cummings is the IHSA head clinician. Steve Eckleberry, again, another lacrosse parent turned official, turned now having an officiating family. They can probably be a crew of 4 out there if they want to run a 4-man game. But he's in charge of training as well for level 1. Him and John Bosco will do that. John Harris, who is, again, a former head coach, lacrosse player himself, and he's also would like to have some representation from the south side. So he's from the south suburbs, kind of helps out there. He's going to be taking the newsletter. And then myself, Jeremy Mansell will be president. So I'll give a few seconds. If anybody's opposed to this,
We have
please.
Jeremy, we have a motion and a second in the chat to approve the board as presented.
Okay. All right. So I'm assuming all in favor will say aye. If not, we will continue on with this board for 2021. That being said, I've said this for the last 2 years. I joined the GLLOA board about 6 years ago. This will be my second year as president. You know, it's not meant to be a lifelong appointment. We need new blood, okay? We need new ideas. There's only so much that we can come up with. You know, we average about 8 to 10 conference calls a year, 2 to 3 in-person meetings. Now, obviously, we haven't had any in-person meetings this year, but we've done quite a few conference calls. Trying to get everything planned. The biggest, obviously, the biggest thing to plan for us is the training. So we spend quite a few times on training and kind of new rules and stuff like that. But the most important things, you're giving back. You're giving back to the association. So if you're interested in you know, a lacrosse board member, I know a couple of people always message me yearly. Let me know. You know, if you know members of our board, if you're done, if you can't be committed as much as you need to be, it's not a big deal. We appreciate the help from everybody. So let me know if you have any messages. If you want to be interested in joining the board, just shoot me an email and we can look at what the future will hold for that. So COVID-19, this is bound to change. These IHSA requirements were brought up through, I think essentially on January 26th, when everything was approved from the IDPH to move forward. That being said, they're bound to change. A lot of these are for winter and indoor sports, but I want to show you some of these requirements real quick. They are posted on the official center on the IHSA website as well. So if I'm going to pop this up over here, and then I'm going to move this to the screen. We're just going to quickly look at some of these. The big one as of now is you're required to use regular whistles with a whistle cover or electronic whistles. For those of us that have used electronic whistles, they don't work very good on a 110-yard field. So the regular whistles are the best option for us. As of right now, a whistle cover is required. That may change by the time the season comes across, okay? Officials are required to wear face coverings, but they're not actively exercising. On Tuesday, I believe the Sports Medicine Athletic Committee is going to have a meeting. I think they're going to try and look at spring sports. And again, obviously, when we are within close contact of other officials, coaches, players, spectators, if there are spectators allowed, staff members, we should be masked up. And you know, if this is a requirement for us to be masked up while we're exercising, then we'll need to kind of follow those requirements. We're hoping that while we're actively engaged in officiating, though, we could be masked free. And then again, when you're around players, being masked up. But again, we're looking to get more information on that. If you wanted to wear gloves, obviously you're more than welcome to wear gloves. Some stuff for pregame. And again, we're trying to get some more lacrosse specific, but really shouldn't be shaking hands, fist bumping with players, with coaches. We should really gonna limit the attendees to one coach and one official and one captain when we do like the pregame captain point toss and stuff like that. Again, we'll get some more specifics for lacrosse. Again, some basic stuff for the scorers table. I don't want to go through all these. They're posted on the website. You can take a look at them. But the personal, you know, responsibility isn't this, you know, is kind of the big thing. If you're not feeling comfortable, if you're not feeling well, don't go to officiate. Email your assigner, call your assigners, let them know. If your temperature is over 103, 100.3, you probably don't want to officiate as well. Every school will have their own COVID protocols. Every conference may be different than the states. So as soon as we have all this stuff locked down, we will give it to us. We'll put a document out there in the, you know, preseason newsletter, and we'll get all that stuff to us. Locker rooms, we typically don't have locker rooms for lacrosse. We typically meet in the parking lot and hang out there, but you know, there will be no locker rooms, it seems, for most sports. And the biggest part, we're not responsible for monitoring social distancing guidelines on the team, in the benches and the sidelines. If the players want to be 2 feet from each other, that's the coach, that's that administration's role. Don't go trouble in trouble, and get out of their way. But again, this was brought up on, if I look at the date, updated on January 26th. So it's bound to be updated again. I'm going to pause right here and ask Steve, is there any questions going on yet for what we've talked about that we can get to, or no?
Nope,
We
we
good?
don't have anything yet.
All right, thank you guys for monitoring that. All right, so I was going to spend a few minutes looking at some websites here that we use a lot, Arbiter being the main one. So either Scott or Steve, you would kind of want to, if I quickly go to ILAX as an official over here, you kind of want to run through how I need to make up blocks and so forth, if I can't officiate a game and so forth. How about
Steve, you want to go through it, or you want me to go through it?
Go ahead, Scott. I don't think we're going to be able to touch your screen though, Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy, I can't navigate.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so again, main thing is blocks, right? If you can't work a game, as the assigners, I believe Scott can touch base, and Vetter will touch base on this as well. You want to keep your blocks up to date. So over here, you can make sure your group you're blocking for. If you're blocking for ILAX, that's the assigners over here. You can choose to block an all day or part of your day. Obviously, most games aren't happening until after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you work during the day, you probably don't need to block that time, but you might want to on the weekends, or if you have commitments. You can block all day, and you just click on the day you want to block, Tuesday, February 16th, and it shows up as red. So that's the main thing with blocks. You can explore with travel limits. I'm not a big fan of understanding how these work, but if you can set travel limits for certain days. If you're working in the office one day and home another day, you can explore with where you're going to have your postal code from, and you can apply your distance. So if I'm in Plainfield and on a Tuesday, I know I can't work up, in the northern suburbs. I can only work somewhere in the south suburbs or west suburbs. I might, decrease my distance to 20 miles. That way I won't show up for the assigners on that date. So that's some options you have there for Arbiter. Is there anything else, Scott, I should touch base on with Arbiter, or no?
No, I think that's fine. I think you've covered it. The blocks is the big one. The more obviously, like you said, the more your schedule goes up to date, it's easier for us.
Okay, that's Arbiter. Next one is IHSA website. Again, if you're fishing in high school, in the top right corner, you'll use your ID number and your password to log on in. You'll have to take, and don't worry about my football score, guys. That was on lacrosse season over there, okay? You'll have to go ahead and take your Part 1 exam. It is now active. You can take your Part 1 test. Your rules video, it's active. You can do that. And this is kind of, if you're going for promotion here and you're in year 2 or year 3, you can submit a promotion request as well, right there. And then when it comes time for playoffs, if they're going to have a state series, you can edit your availability for that. I don't think they really check with that, though, unfortunately. There's not much else on here. You can explore with your officiating insurance and incident report forms if you'd like to. If you do have to fill out a IHSA special report, you'll need to go ahead and access that right here. We'll talk about filling out special reports a little later on today. Some people might need to do that depending on where they're fishing at, if there isn't the proper medical equipment there. So that's.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yep.
Can we touch on one more thing for Arbiter?
Yes, sir.
Because of the situation for the season, I would say, and probably for future seasons, we definitely want people to accept or decline the games as soon as possible, knowing that we're going to be, up against an official shortage more than ever this year. So if anybody, if you get a game and you're not sure, maybe communicate with the assigner immediately, just so at least we know that you're working on it. Because if not, we'd really like for you to just turn the games back, so that way we can keep moving.
Okay. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Hey,
All
one
right.
other thing I wanted to touch on with the IHSA site. There's that compliance items, the concussion management. We've had a few people that don't show up on the IHSA. You'll not show up on the IHSA website until this says what you have here, Jeremy, where it says that you passed the concussion management exam. So make sure that your IHSA site says that you passed this, because you have to pass it every 2 years.
Thank you, Steve. Next two websites I was going to show, U.S. Lacrosse website. Bob Walters, are you with us? Yes, he is.
I am. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just going to click on the officials tab. And if you want anything worthwhile, you let us know from the officials aspect of it over here.
Yeah, so the most important thing is walk through the tests, right? If you're going to do youth, make sure you understand the youth rules. They are very different from the boys' rules. They've done a pretty good job with the education. There's a whole learning track you can take for level 1, level 2 officials. The other place, and Jeremy, I know you're going to this next, is the Georgia Lacrosse Officials Association. A lot of the stuff that was developed at Georgia is now on the U.S. Lacrosse website when Gordon Corsetti used to be there. The Georgia Lacrosse Officials Association on YouTube has a ton of videos. They're really small segments, pregame, halftime, game management. Take some time and walk through that stuff. I would recommend looking at the U.S. Lacrosse stuff first, because you really need to know that. Take the tests there. Once you pass your training, or once you complete the training, I will register you on the U.S. Lacrosse site as a level 1, level 2, level 3 official. I know a lot of the youth tournaments now are requiring U.S. Lacrosse officials just because they say they're U.S. Lacrosse certified. So in order to do that, you need to be registered with U.S. Lacrosse. You go through the training. I will mark you as trained as level 1, 2, and 3, and that keeps everything in line with those certified tournaments. This year is going to be a little different, right? Please do a lot of training on your own. Look at YouTube videos. Look at the U.S. Lacrosse website. Look at the Georgia site. Just make sure you're up to speed. And then I know we're going to get to observing in a little while, but we'll talk about that. But it's all consistency. That's really what we're going for this year, is consistency. So I'll give it back to you, Jeremy. That's kind of what I wanted to point out. But U.S. Lacrosse is a great site. They're trying to grow it, and make sure you're aware of what's out there.
Yeah, so one of the things I like on the officials tab here is under develop, we have officiating resources. Hey, Bob, get a chance. They have officials resources. It's okay. In the official resources here, they do have some pre-game information for a 2-man and a 3-man. Now, again, I don't know when it was last updated, but at least it gives you some ideas of what you're going to do in your pregame, what you can talk about. The manuals are updated yearly, so I believe if I clicked on the 3-person mechanics manual, this is from 2020. You can take a look at that as well. And then, as far as the coach's certification card, if you give it to the coach at pregame, which we all should be doing in the varsity level games, you should, you can print these off on cardstock or something. And again, you should have your name on there, your partner's name on there. If a third partner's in there, the date of it. And I do write my IHSA ID number on there as well. But this, again, certifies the coaches know that everything on back has been provided as far as the members what to do. So some great resources here in the officiating tab. I like under officiating resources. And as Bob was talking about there, let me X out and head over here to the Georgia Lacrosse refs. Again, they have rules interpretation. They have tons of different resources. They have some, if you just, scroll through the bottom, you can even look at what was done in the past, past month. So they have some different stuff on here, some videos and how you can watch a video and get yourself better as an official. So definitely use that. And then as Bob mentioned, Georgia Lacrosse on YouTube. You can subscribe to that. It'll show up in your feed over here. You'll get a great stuff from there. Anything, Steve, we need to touch base on? It'll be good right now to keep on rolling.
I think we're good.
Croc, are you with David Croc? Are you with us?
I am.
All right, good. So, Dave, GLLOA Awards.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and click the first. So what we've got is it's going to be a combo of official of the year. At one point of his career, this person probably should have been given this award and had earned it perhaps more than once. And we also want to recognize this person for their dedication to Illinois lacrosse in general, growing the game, being a founder, fulfilling multiple roles as a observer, a mentor, an official himself, and in this case, a friend to a lot of people, as well as being an assigner and somebody that has been in contact with the IHSA and with everybody else. As all these changes have gone on for the 14 or 15 years that I've been involved, this person has always been there for everybody. So you want to go ahead and reveal? We're naming John Vetter the 2020 official of the year. This is by no means a capstone. John has many great games to assign me this year, so I'm being completely complimentary. But no, John has been there. Again, as I said, I wanted to get through that quick because it was important. This is important to all of us. I think John has touched everybody positively and sometimes maybe not so positively, but John has touched everybody who has refed, officiated, and possibly played this sport. It is an honor for me to introduce. I thank everybody for the honor of introducing the award, and John, congratulations.
And the other reason we picked you, John, is because you're talking next, so you can unmute yourself. Guys, we're going to turn over to John Vetter now and talk about ILACs from the assigners aspect. So, John, take it away. Does he know how to unmute himself? John.
All right. So what's going on is as of Saturday, we might be doing playoffs, it looks like. So the schedule will be shortened. If it is, they're going to shorten the games to like May 17th. I know baseball and softball, they announced on Saturday, it looked like they're going to have a playoffs, and they're talking about lacrosse as of Saturday. So we'll see how that goes. So the season's going to be shortened by the last couple of weeks if they're doing playoffs or not. So it's going to be a compact season. It looks like it's going to be a shortened season, of course, but it looks like the teams are going like 10, 12 games instead of 17 each. So it's just all going to be crammed in there. This year, we're taking the duties over for all the high school signing in Illinois, including, Notre Dame, the schools that we didn't have, and actually Central Illinois. So we look like we'll be up to about 100 schools this year signing. So we're going to be packed there. We're going to start, this week. We had a little tournament going on. So next month we'll have some more games starting on. So, it's just going to be a crazy year. I know.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
John, do you have schedules? And because we're getting a lot of inquiries about when when you guys anticipate, you, Bosco, and Steve, as to when you guys anticipate to start giving out games.
We're not going to put out games to foot, but at least 3 more weeks. I mean, I got 12 schedules right now. I got two or three more today. It's going to be, just what's going on. Everybody's just trying to get the fields together.
Yeah.
Everybody just train for the rules. It's, we're going to, I would say probably 3 weeks, it will start signing at best because the schedule, like I said, I only got probably 12 schools right now out of 100. So we're way off what we need to do. But they all came in this week. So I would imagine with the next 3 weeks, everybody be coming in. And they'll still be adding. Most of them are just sending me conference games now, and it's up to schools to individually add games and not add games to them. So it's just going to be a crazy, whatever. It's normally crazy anyway. It's just going to be more patient, wait and see. A lot of stuff come out later as is. I know a lot of teams are shooting for Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday kind of deals. So Tuesday's going to be the craziest day of all week. So it just we know we're talking maybe doing some doubles, but I like I say, I think the game with enough officials, we got enough officials that it will be still like status quo last year. It's just not going to be, because it's just not going to be it's going to be intense, but we don't have as near a game. I would imagine we're only going to do maybe 1,000 games, 1,200 games this year, high school wise. Last year, we would have had normally would have had like 2,000. So we're down, 60%, 40% of games. So everybody's all nervous right now. We're just gonna wait and see. It's just, I'm sure the mask thing's gonna change by then. Let's see what football does. That's all. It's all the rules are all gonna change. How we even gonna affect this game. And we're talking. You guys are talking preliminary about face-offs. So it's just gonna be this year. It's just gonna be wait and see. But like I said, I know baseball and softball, they announced probably playoffs. So what that does is shorten the season by at least a week, which means all those games have to be shoved in earlier. I think May 13th, May 17th, some cutoff day. So
Well, and we're also hearing, as people are requesting in here on the Q&A, that football is 100% assigned already through April 23rd. So obviously,
well, of course, Scott, it's a 6-game season.
Oh, it's only 6 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 6 weeks. It's Friday nights. It's easy. That's what they do. Football,
Gotcha.
we compete against soccer, track, all that stuff's got to go on, So they're trying to look. It's a little more, 6 games is easy. They all have 3 home games. If I take school 3 home games, I can get done too. You know what I mean? That's that's all they're playing is 3 home games. That's all the schools got. So we compete against everything else, field hockey, all that stuff. So it's field availability, it's travel, baseball, getting all those guys, baseball, softball, all that stuff, travel. So the AD's got a lot more moving parts. Yeah, football is easy. Friday nights, 1 game a week. What they do Friday night, get 3 home games. I mean, but it's the other moving parts. I mean, I'm refereeing. I'm sitting down with the ADs every other 2 days, talking to them, and they just tell me when the schedule come, that's what they're working on. Yeah, football's easy. Yeah, I could do that, Anything else?
Again, for any of the attendees, if you have any questions for John about ILACs, throw them in the in the chat, please, for us.
Yeah.
John, as far as fees go, they're still 58 for lower level. Is that what it is?
57 or something. I have to look at NISOC rate. It's the same rate. Yeah. I did put that question you asked about. I know there was an email for basketball that they were going to do the Central Suburban waive like the NISOC fee, which is a lower rate. And I put that question out there last week to a couple ADs. I haven't heard back from them.
So what John's asking is, he's talking about is when you do a double header, unfortunately, if you're working the same school twice in a row, a sophomore and then a varsity game, your fee is dramatically cut in half. Not cut in half, but instead of being paid the true 58.68, you think like about $111 total.
Yeah, I don't know what for. That's just for public league. The private schools, Catholic league, they pay straight double rates.
Yeah, it's just important to know that if you are a member, you're looking to accept a doubleheader. Just understanding those are some of the things that happen with that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we're gonna be tight. We also pick up all the clubs teams that RVO was signing last year too. There's some in Central Illinois. New Trier had a club team also for the players that didn't go on to. So we'll have that going on too. So it's gonna be a lot of youth games going on, a lot of tournaments going on. It's just a lot of moving parts going on this year. But it's a normal for us. It's normal though. I mean, this is just condensed. Last year, if it was a full season, we'd be in trouble anyways, because we'd have more college going on now. We'd have more tournaments been done by now. So it's for us. It's norm. It's going to be a normal. Border wars, it's just, that weekend's going to be 400 games, 300 games. And, you got Rip the Ducks going to 300 game weekend. So we'll have all that going on. So
if they got to get If they need to get off games, if they're not feeling well that morning of a game,
Just
should they
call, email, call. No biggie. It's like in past. That's not changing. That's not changing at all.
Well,
Yeah.
John, morning of, you don't want somebody emailing. I think you want them to call you or text you or
Oh
get in
yeah,
touch with
yeah.
you right
Text
away.
me all you want to. No, email or call me. Yeah, I watch emails all day. You know, email or call. That's fine with me. You know, it's monitored. You know, it goes
And-
illax. Do it. There's a general. If you go on the board, we'll put it out. There's a general email address out there. The swearing and I get that you guys just say, hey, if you want to email me, but you can call me too. It's not a big deal. Just don't no show. That's all. What's that? You know, we in the past we've had people call. That's why I get paid for it. It's not a big deal. It's not a. I mean, I don't like it, but people have things. I have change going on. Like, fully understand, but we'll take care. That's what I get paid for. No biggie. All right.
Thank you, John.
No problem.
Anybody, Steve, who works for ILAX as well, or Rogowski, anything else you guys want to add on here?
Yeah, we got to add Tony on there too. He's Central Illinois.
Okay. So we'll get that up there.
That'll be on our site too. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll throw this on the GLOA website here. So again, we're going to make a recording of this. Will be on the GLOA website. Steve Fisher, I believe, is also an assigner.
Yes.
Bosco. So we'll have to add. Thanks, John, for getting that to us. So we'll get those things there for you guys. We'll get their names up there.
Yeah.
We'll put this on the GLOA website as well. But this is the main stuff for you.
Yeah,
Right.
Steve Fisher's addition. He's doing Western Suburban. And then you have Tony, who's doing Central Illinois. Bosco's doing Duquesne and DuPage and Mid-Suburban. Eckleberry's now doing Chicago Public League and Fox Valley. So we've added those things on. So,
Okay.
All right.
I appreciate it, John. Thank you for
No problem.
letting us know.
Thanks for the award, guys.
You earned it. All right. Typically what the ILAX likes to do is make sure everybody, again, attends a clinic. We'll talk about clinics in another couple slides, but also being an IHSA member. That's kind of a requirement to work the high school games. All right. I'm actually going to switch it over to Tom Cummings. If you want to talk, I can drive through these PowerPoint.
Yeah, okay. What do we got? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The first couple things are just they changed some recommendations for the equipment. That's not really important for us to know right now. So go ahead and switch next slide. The CBO, we really don't use a CBO. I think the biggest thing you want to be aware of is on the bottom, the last point down there. CBO's duties no longer include validating that there are too few players on the field. So that's just put in the rule book. So we're not going to penalize the team if they don't have enough players on the field. They're already at a disadvantage. So it's a highlight there. That's just an editorial thing. Go ahead and switch. I think the biggest thing that we did last year was we talked about restarts. All right. So this is just clarification and definitions. All right. So we'll talk about restarts again. Let's keep going. Okay. So restarts, now you must have a 5-yard distance between the player with the ball, all right, and the defensive player. And if you're an offensive team, you can't be next to each other. So that's the armadillo or the hidden ball play. You're not going to restart it if offensive players are within 5 yards. Now, the defensive players have to be 5 yards. If they're not 5 yards, okay, all right, we're not going to tell them back up. We're just going to blow the whistle, and the defensive player must allow the ball carrier a direct path to the goal, and they may not engage with that ball carrier until the distance of 5 yards has been achieved. If that hasn't happened, we're going to drop the flag for a slow whistle, and it's going to be a technical foul for a delay of game. All right? So that's kind of important to know. If a guy's standing there and he's 3 yards away and he has a stick up in the air and a player throws the ball and hits the stick, that's a penalty because he's not given in the 5-yard distance. All right, let's go. Next one. All right, so this didn't work for me. There you go. I think what we're looking at is that original is not a good position. As they separate, he lets him give 5 yards. Now he can go chase him. The black man is and the black dot is the defensive person. So as we go back and we see there's not 5 yards, the black defensive player gives him 5 yards, then pursues him, and that's okay. That's a good play. So in this situation, the defensive player in the black dot never allows the offensive player a 5-yard distance. He may give him a clear path to the goal, but he doesn't give him 5 yards. So that's going to be a flag down. All right, that's going to be a delay game penalty. All right, so we have to be aware of that. It was implemented last year and we never really got to use it. All right. So same thing, it says, when does trouble happen the most? Okay, after a face-off, we have a violation and the player's not giving him 5 yards. So in this situation, he backs up, gives him 5 yards and pursues him. That's a good situation. Second situation, he doesn't give him the 5 yards. So we have a flag, we have a slow whistle, we have a delay of game penalty, unless the offensive player scores, then we're going to pick up our flag. All right.
Tom, it doesn't become a foul until the defender actually plays the player of the ball, correct?
Well, if he's chasing him, Jeremy, isn't he playing him?
Yes.
So, I mean, he doesn't have to make contact with him, if that's the question.
Okay.
Okay. So if he starts to play him, I mean, some of the theories have said that you may have, the player with the ball may get nervous and throw the ball away quickly. So at that point, you know, you got to throw a flag in it. So these are some situations. What happens if one or more offensive players within 5 yards? We shouldn't start. That's what this is saying. Do not start the play. Tell the offensive players to back off. This is the hidden ball trick. This is the armadillo. This is usually a question in the rules exam. Number 2, if a defensive player is within 5 yards of the ball carrier on a restart, but gives the offensive player a clear path to the goal, and it is the offensive player that veers into and contacts the defensive player, is it a foul? No. Because since the defensive player gave the offensive player the clear path, it was the offensive player that created the contact. There is no penalty. All right. Number 3, does the offense get a quick restart when there's a loose ball technical in the offensive attack area? No, after any defensive foul, the offense must take the ball laterally outside the box. Okay. The only time the offense can restart play in the attack area is when the shot goes out of bounds on the end line or a timeout is taken after an end line shot. Make sense? Does the offense get a quick restart when they have possession of the ball in close proximity to the substitution box? So when we ever get on that sideline, we want to give them 5 yards off the sideline in front of the substitution box. Right? So we're going to back them up and not give him a quick restart because we want to give him that 5 yards so that a player coming out of the substitution box does not interfere with the ball carrier. All right. All right, so one of the big changes for 2020, which you never got to use, is that all illegal cross penalties are now 2-minute non-releasable personal fouls. Okay, and now they can correct that cross and they can bring it back into the game. So the cross does not have to stay at the table. All right. So this is one that they don't want players throwing a cross in most situations. So we talked about the fact it's an unsportsmanlike contact if you throw it at the ball, you throw it at a player, you throw it at some other game personnel. Okay, all right. So that's going to be an unsportsmanlike conduct. You can give them 1 to 3, all right. And the problem is that is a releasable penalty. So what this says here is it's non-releasable, and that's wrong. Okay, it is a releasable penalty for throwing a cross. Okay.
Right. So, okay, I know because I emailed you about that earlier on today too. So I want to double check that one. Tom, if you don't mind, we can.
Sure, I've checked it myself. It looks weird in the book, but when you look it up in the book, Jeremy, the line above said non-releasable, and then it lists 6 things, and then it says these are releasable penalties. So this is a releasable penalty.
I'm just going straight from the memo I got from the NFHS. Again, I want to make sure we're consistent with this, guys. We'll get this answer out to us again. Tom, we'll talk with you. We'll try to figure out it could be again a big situation between releasable and non-releasable. So we'll get that too. We'll get that out to everybody though. Okay.
Yeah, John Bosco can help me with this one because I put it in the test last year and it screwed it up. Now, what is a technical foul for throwing across? Well, the guy gets mad at himself and throws the stick on the ground. Okay, there's a bad exchange on the sidelines. You don't want to throw the cross off the field in disgust. So those are technical fouls. Those are minor penalties. All right. Okay. So basically, I don't remember seeing this one. So basically, this is. Go ahead.
I think I might have added this. These are just, I think, some corrections from the rule book itself. Like they added the offensive players should be more than 5 yards away still.
Yes.
Throwing the cross. And so these are essentially what we've talked about already.
Yes. Okay. Points of emphasis, sportsmanship and conduct. Like anything else, you want to make sure that, we don't have any problems on the field. We can ask the head coach to help us monitor and discuss sportsmanship with their players. Okay. I always tell people, we're good. That's fine. Sportsmanship, we know what it's all about. Player safety. So what they've done in the last couple of years, at least 2 years ago in 2019, is they established safety elements. And basically those are defenseless player, head and neck contact, targeting defenseless player. So those are the player safety things that were brought up in 2019. All right. So if at any time you have something violent, and you can just expel the guy, you can just throw him out of a game, give him a 3-minute non-releasable penalty. But I think they want us to be aware of this, especially because of the fact of all the problems we've had in football with concussions. They don't want it to run over into lacrosse. So we should know the penalties. Targeting is a 3-minute non-releasable. Defenseless player is 2 or 3 minute minimum. Okay, same thing with head and neck, 2 or 3 minute minimum. All right, so we can't be a nice guy and just give him a 1 because we didn't think he meant to hit him in the head. All right, okay. Pace of play, basically we talked about when we made this rule change, the pace of play they've always said lacrosse is the fastest game on 2 feet. So that's why we implemented the restarts. 5 yards between a defensive player and the player with the ball. He must establish that 5 yard. If he doesn't, then it's a delay of game penalty. You cannot start a play with offensive players within 5 yards of one another. All right, and then the future equipment changes, we can just read through that. It's just more or less, again, protecting the players with the nose case sticker on it. And again, it's going to be for the chest protectors for the goalies in 2021. And then they're going to try to do something with shoulder pads in 2022. And then 2022, they're going to make our job easier and try to make the home team wear white jerseys and the away team wear the non-white or darker colored jerseys. All right. Next.
That little logo there in the bottom right corner, again, that shows you it's not say, look for that logo. For some reason, if you have to check equipment, that's the logo you want to look for. This is reviewing 2019.
Yeah. So 2019, again, I think the biggest thing in 2019 is the second one here, the slow whistle, ball propelled below goal line extended. It's not considered a shot for purposes of a stall. Okay, but I want to make everybody aware that you can score a goal from below goal line extended. So if you throw it off the goalie's back and it goes in, it's still a goal. All right. If you throw it off the goal post from behind the goal and the ball goes out of the attack box and you're in a stall situation, that's a stalling violation by the offensive team because it's not considered a shot. And we said that for the stalling recommendations, all right, you have to have a shot that hits the goal post of the goalie. So I want to make sure that you understand, and that's why we put down ball propelled from below the goal line extended. It's not considered a shot, but you can score from that. Okay. The next one, go ahead.
And the other big one I remember is goodies, right? The flag down so the whistle doesn't end, right? If the ball hits the ground.
We've changed that goodie considerably. Okay. But yeah, we're not calling a ball dead anyhow when it's on the ground. That's 7.82, one of the very last options on the bottom. So let's go through a couple of these. Let's go through the next one. You're going to disallow a goal if it's a last-second shot and it hits the goalie and then rebounds and hits a defensive offensive player and goes into the net. Okay, that goal does not count. Now, if you take a shot and it hits a defensive player and goes into the goal, that does count. All right, you take a shot and it's the goalie and goes into the goal on the last-second shot, that does count. All right. But you can't hit the goalie and then rebound off an offensive or a defensive player. That will not count. Over and back, all right. You can only have over and back if you bat the ball with your hands on the cross. So you can't bat the ball with your feet anymore. All right. That's the clarification on that one. Defenseless player body check. I already mentioned it's an automatic 2 or 3 minute non-releasable penalty. Targeting is an automatic 3-minute non-releasable penalty. So before 2019, these were not in the rule book. Targeting a defensive player, these are all highlights for safety. Coaches obstruction, we always get the coaches on the sidelines running up and down, right? If they make contact with us, all right, we're supposed to give them a 1 to 3 minute releasable unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. And again, the severity of it will determine how much time you're going to give him. If you bump into the guy, and it disturbs your focus on the game, I'd probably give him a minute. If he trips you and you're laying on your face, then you're going to have to up that a little bit more. An ejected coach from a game after 2 unsportsmanlike conducts or just from being obnoxious is a 1 minute non-releasable. So we're trying not to hurt the team. We're trying to just penalize the coach. The other thing in 2019 is that we said that you can ward if both hands are on the cross if you displace your opponent's body. Okay, so I just want to make that sure. If you come up to the guy and you bulldodge him, you push him off of you, and he falls on his butt, it's probably a ward, even though he has both hands on the cross. And then this is the one we talked about, the flag down slow whistle in 2019. The ball remains alive if the ball is grounded. So you take a shot, hits the goalie, hits the ground. We used to kill it long a time ago. Now we're continuing to play it. We're going to continue to play until a goal is scored, an offensive foul. Okay, all right, the ball goes out of bounds. So we've changed our goodie a little bit. Defensive possession, injury occurred, and any expiration of time. All right, so that ball does remain alive on a grounded ball. And I want to just remind you guys, we changed that 2 years ago, but okay, we can keep going.
Second defensive foul too, right?
Yes, second defensive foul.
And out of the box, so you go out of the box with the flag down?
Out of the box. No, we're fine. We're going to keep playing if the ball goes out of the box.
Okay.
Good. All right.
So
that's what I'm saying there.
Yeah, excellent. Hey, so these are just a quick review, guys, of the rules, the changes from the last couple of years. That's why it's important to go to the training. Trainings are going to be much more in depth with these, okay? So we're just trying to get through these quickly. I know you have to watch the IHSA video as well, which you'll see Tom on there as well. So again, the purpose of this was just to get through there kind of quickly here. Dave Kroc is going to talk a little bit about sportsmanship handling of the coaches, because again, that continues to be one of the biggest issues for us is sportsmanship and handling of the coaches. So just a quick, Dave, best you can using your excellent presentation skills.
Yes, thank you. So what I'll say is this, real quick. The important thing to remember here is coaches want to communicate. They want to, that's why they're talking to us throughout these games, right? And we have to understand what they want. Are they, and there's multiple things that could be at issue here, and we'll just run through this real quick. Look, they could be releasing, a call they disagree with or that's going to affect them. They could just be releasing some anger for the team, and that's fine if it's done appropriately. They also want to understand the calls because sometimes we have nuances based on games and teams. So they want to understand what we're calling, and that requires some explanation at some point during a dead ball. Other times they want to make a point. If they don't agree with a call or your decision, they want to have that discussion, and that's fine too. But what happens in these exchanges as we go through this is that there's tipping points. And that's where we have to understand what the ramp is and what we have going on here. So tipping points for me, and I think for a lot of other guys, get into what I'll say is just generally rude behavior. Behavior that can be overbearing, or when you get some coaches who want to show off or dominate or embarrass people. All of these things are tipping points for me, and that's where this ramp, we start to go down this ramp, because the communication, I haven't gotten through a game yet from either coach, not heard from either coach about, and I've never walked away from a game and they said, wow, that was the greatest game I've ever seen called. I don't think anybody has, but these tipping points, the rudeness, the overbearing, and the show off and the dominance, require us to stand up because we're paid, whatever we're paid for that game, youth, college, or high school, we're paid to administer the game. And that is safety and rules and making sure that the game gets off without a hitch. And if you've got somebody who's rude, overbearing, showing off, or dominant, then that's stalling the game. It's trying to, you could say, work the officials or work the crowd or spin up the team or whatever. What we have to do is, first thing we have to do is we have to finish whatever we're doing at that time. If it's a dead ball, we have official stuff to do, stick checks, they could be yelling, blah, blah, blah. We have to finish our work first. Then we get into, when it's appropriate, a warning. And the warning is, I think there's two things. There is a verbal part. It's like, okay, thanks, coach, that's enough. That should be accompanied with something physical, like a hand out with a stop sign. That warning is to that coach to end it. It doesn't have to be an official warning, but that's your warning. And the reason you want it physical and verbal is verbal because people need to hear you, and physical because games are taped, and we need that as a point of record. Like, that's enough. Thank you. We're all good here. We're going to move. We got to move on with the game. That warning can then escalate should it be necessary, either in that very same instance, an official warning to the bench to say, okay, coach, you're warned, and then walk over to the other coach and say, coach, I warned the other coach, I'm warning your bench too. Let's just make sure that we keep things under control. We're here to communicate, but we're not here to run us off the road. By warning both benches, you're doing two things. You're telling both coaches, hey, we've seen enough. Number two, you're also communicating to the other coach, even though that coach, he or she may or may not be deserving of the warning, you're letting everybody know that I've taken a firm stance that we're on the ramp. And that's the first step. The second step, we used to be talking about a conduct foul, but the conduct foul has moved over the last several years to not really being of use in these situations. They're specifically saying, look, this is about player conduct, not necessarily about bench conduct. If you want to, and you're skilled enough to put a conduct out there, especially when the opposing team has the ball, you can do that, coach. It's a, conduct, bench foul, take the ball away, and then move on with the game. Or if the other team has the ball, you could throw a 30-second flag, and that conduct foul is fine. However, it's difficult to administrate. It requires everything to still keep going. The easiest thing to do is to move on. If the way that the coach is continuing on these tipping points, rude, overbearing, showing off, dominate, it's easier sometimes just to throw the flag and stop the game if their team has the ball, or if it's a dead ball, or if it's a loose ball. And then you can administer a 1-minute unsportsmanlike conduct foul on the coach, or 2 or 3 minutes if it's necessary, depending upon your situations. And the people that are the R's on the game generally can help you administer this. So the best thing to do when you do this is to throw the flag, halt the game, and then get your official crew together, get some time, some space for a moment just to let it settle down, or let the coach keep yelling. Either way, it doesn't matter. But get everybody together, get them all on the same page, then go make your report to the bench, and then move on as quick as you can for with the game, as quick as appropriate. There are times when it can be appropriate to just outright eject some bench personnel. And that is simply where you have to know, you have to understand at that point that ejection is, it's rather final. It's going to cause paperwork. It's going to require that a flag be down, a visible flag somewhere on the field, and that you report that foul and that somebody is serving. And then as you walk away from the field, you got to take some notes while you're on the field, or at least get your guys to help you remember what was going on, because you're going to have to fill out some reports. You're going to have to talk to the assigner. You're going to have to fill something out for the IHSA in most cases. And all that, is required paperwork. It is worth it when you get into these situations, and you just have to know and make it available or make it obvious that you have taken your steps, you have put down a flag, you are assigning the USC to the bench, and so on and so forth. I would recommend that we have different temperaments. If an assistant coach is out of control, assistant coaches are not necessary in my book, and I think in several other people's books. So if you have an assistant coach simply just fly off the handle and come out of control, flag them and put them out of the game. Put the ejection out there. That's what you want to do. Now, of course, you can also, back in the warn portion, is if the assistant is flying off the handle, you can talk to the coach and say, this person is not going to be on this bench if this happens again. And that way you have covered yourself when it happens again. That's what these are just steps that you're going to want to include. So the ramp, real quick here, is warn, conduct if you want, unsportsmanlike foul, and then a second unsportsmanlike foul on a bench personnel earns them an ejection, and then you have to stop the game and make sure that they get out and move on with the game when it's appropriate. And if there is only one coach, something you're going to want to pay attention to when you throw the first USC, is there only one coach on the bench? Because if you do, and you throw a second unsportsmanlike on the head coach and he's the only coach, the game is over. They have no one to coach them. They're not picking somebody up from the audience to coach the team. The game is done. So that, I think, is the ramp with the tipping points. And again, the big thing for us is warn, conduct, USC, eject on a second time with a head coach, or simply first time on an assistant coach if you wish. The important thing for you and your crew, you need time, you need space, you need to get the game back going so that everybody gets coaching and playing, and you get officiating again, to try and put some space between an unsportsmanlike conduct foul and everything else that's going on. Those are really the keys, I think, to the ramp. If you have questions, you can put them in chat. Otherwise, Jeremy, anything I missed?
No, I think the most important thing, right, is get that flag down. Though you're not going to be defended unless you have a flag down. If you're going to kick a coach out of a game, but you don't have a flag on a team, that's you have to have the flag down. They will support you. The assigner, I'm assuming, will support you as long as you're flagging. Have the flag down. The ADs, because again, you fill out that special report. It goes to all the ADs. It goes to all the principals of the building. But again, use that stuff to our advantage. If a coach is out of control, you need to flag them. If it makes it look the bad guy, it makes it look the bad guy, but it controls the game. So
great.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, I'm going to try to flow through here a little bit. If there's a fight, I'm going to cover this in one of the first memos, and we'll cover it in training instead versus doing here. But it is from the IHSA from December of 2019. I'm not going to cover it in detail here, but the biggest thing for us is to hold the benches, right? If anybody comes onto the field, give them that little 2-yard buffer zone. I heard someone say, right, hey, you cross my hands, you're out of the game. So I'll put this in one of the first newsletters as well, the IHSA fight guidance, as well as the medical pregame, because that might switch a little bit as well as meeting with the head coaches and ask them for the AED. Remember, if they don't have an AED, you have to fill out a special report. So that's more work for us. But essentially, here's all you have to do in the pregame is ask them, do you have an AED? If no AED, just have the contest. You just need to go ahead and, fill out a special report. It's a lot more work for us, but most of these schools, even if they're playing at the Park District, even if they're playing on a Saturday in someone's backyard, they should have an AED there. It's kind of a state requirement. But again, we still play the game. Some key issues for the IHSA. Rules interpretation video is available now through April 20th. The Part 1 test is available now through April 20th. Promotion requests. So this is going to change a little bit on there. If you want to go for promotion from X to R to C, the request is available through March 29th with the test starting March 30th. I believe one of the requirements is they have a level 2 clinic in the last 3 years. And since we haven't had our level 2 clinic yet, and it will occur on the 28th, you'll still be able to get into that promotion timeline. Is that correct, Mr. Cummings?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, so thank you for that. GLOA spring training options, okay? Again, it's free. You get the free clinic. You got to do a clinic once every 3 years by IHSA requirements. You should do one every year. It makes you better. We're going to be offering 2 options this year for both level 1 and level 2. Level 1, the first option is going to be on Monday nights. They'll be virtual. They'll be more of a Zoom meeting than a webinar, so there will be a little more interaction. John Bosco and Steve Eckelberry are going to take the drive on this one. Mondays, starting on March 1st through April 5th. They're from 6:30 to 7:30 for level 1. The other option for level 1 will be Sunday, March 7th, so 2 weeks from today. Sunday, March 7th, that'll be a full day from 9 to 3:30. They'll cover both the same topics. So everything covered in level 1 will be the same at both of those clinics. So whatever fits your schedule best. We're also going to try and record them. I don't know how well that's going to go. There is something that we're going to require, like all the members that participate to fill out to tell us that you were there at those meetings. Level 2 will be Mondays. Again, same days, Mondays, March 1st through April 5th, but they're going to be going from 8 to 9. Or the other option is Sunday, March 28th from 9 to 3:30. You do want to register for those on the IHSA or on the GLOA website, so we just have a kind of an idea how many people are coming to the meetings. The links will provide them to those people as well. The registration is up on GLOA's website, so just tell us which one you want to go to, just so we get an understanding of how many people we can expect in those meetings. If you're a 16 to 18-year-old, GLOA will offer support. Well, you'll be provided the weekly newsletters and all our training documents. You still are required to go through the U.S. Lacrosse Youth Training. And then through ILACS is Chris Marks. And again, this presentation will be up on the GLOA website. So if you are a high school kid that's looking to work youth games, it's Chris Marks, is marksy@comcast.net is his go-to. So I talked with Chris from that today. But again, U.S. Lacrosse will provide you all the training. You're more than welcome to attend our clinics. But again, our clinics are geared more for high school officials, federal officiating high school games. Bob Walters, again, Bob's off the field. He's done for, but he's still going to be an active participant. He's going to run through observations. Bob, you want me to share it, or you want to go through it quickly?
Just real quick, I know we're tight on time, Jeremy. The whole goal with the observation program is for the new guys, give them good feedback. As we move up in ranks, up in experience, we want to get guys ready for the playoffs, and then we want to know exactly who our playoff officials are. The real objective in this is to make officials stronger and consistency. The one thing, if you ask the coaches, that will drive them nuts is 1 week, one thing being called, and the next week it not being called or being called different. So really the goal is to get consistency across our officiating ranks, across all of IHSA lacrosse, with with some of the more experienced guys, we'll probably do some ghost observations, right? I'll show up, I'll meet you at halftime, I'll meet you afterwards. With the younger guys, if you want some help, the newer officials will meet you pregame. We can talk a little bit about the pregame if you're a newer official, and then talk at halftime, and then talk after. So really the goal for this is to make sure that we're advancing our officials to the next level. If you look at the numbers, we just don't have a lot of officials this year. So it is really a fast ladder, and we want to give you all the help that we can to progress in this sport.
Thanks, Bob. Again, thank you for giving back here. Mentoring, Tom Ellis, I know he's not on the panelists, but he's talking about starting a group text thread for some of these first and second year officials. So we'll get names. We don't have a lot of, we only have about 6 first year officials that are signed up right now, and about 7 or 8 second year officials that probably never saw a field yet. So we're going to get your guys' numbers in a text thread with questions you're going to have about, you know, anything and everything. So it's just something we can get going on through. The texts are a lot easier than emails and faster. So Tom Ellis will be putting this together. The newsletter, John Harris, again, who's not a panelist on this right now, he's the board member from the South Side. He's going to take over my role with the newsletters and get those out on a weekly basis. Observations, Bob is going to do that for us. And if we do have playoffs, which we're, you know, looking at possibly having, we'll try to do it end of the year kind of playoff prep towards the end of the year. So that's all I have for the high school aspect. If you have any questions, again, put them in the chat. This can go ahead and you can go ahead and continue on your day. I appreciate it. Get signed up for the clinics. You know, make sure you sign up for the IHSA if you haven't done that yet. Have a great season. If you're interested in officiating college lacrosse, you've had a couple years experience and you think you are ready to move on to the next level, I'm going to turn it on to Dave Kroc. Dave, I'm going to probably stop my share and, or do you want me to go through the candidate process? So again, if you're not interested in high school or college lacrosse at all, then you don't need to stick on here. But if you are, do you want me to go through the candidate process first, Dave, or do you want me to go ahead and just let you just talk?
Oh, you can flip it over. Just flip the slide and I'll talk through it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So people who are interested in becoming, a college official, this is the process. You need some high school officiating. More experience is necessary. Not everybody gets everything in 3 years. You need to have 3-man mechanics and experience, and that comes through high school and club, which I've got GLL. John Vetter is a signer for GLL, and him and the ILACS crew can talk to you about whether or not you're ready for 3-man mechanics in games. 3-man mechanics is more running, and it's a higher standard that we're looking for, but you need that before you go to the next level. Pretty much flat out. We got to see that. Obviously, IHSA playoff experience is a benefit because the higher pressure games are what's going on. At this level, we have coaches making $3 to $5, maybe more, $10,000 a year to coach their teams. This is a avocation for them, just like it is for us. At the next level, these guys are professionals making, 5 and 6 and sometimes 7 figures to coach these teams. It's a different experience, and there's a different set of pressure and a whole nother set of rules. So anyway, Laredo 3 participation is recommended. Laredo 3 is available through the US Lacrosse. If you're interested in going down this path, you can talk to me about Laredo 3 participation. I think Laredo 3 is good because it helps you where you have East Coast officials and other people come out and watch you perform 3-man mechanics in a high-speed environment. So that's what Laredo 3 is. It is recommended because it gives you exposure to college-level observation and talent. Joe, if GLL and Laredo is happening this year, I will let you know. If they're not happening this year, we will find another way to make sure that we can see everybody. It's a good question. I'll type it in chat later for the record. So the basic idea is contact me to do this. I'm the assistant governor for District 6. Jim Beery is in Ohio. He's the district governor, and Lee Spitzer is the District 2, is the Division 2 and 3 assigners. He would be involved in some of these selections as well. The process is probably not really going to change. We're gonna make sure you get some exposure in high school this season, get some feedback, maybe some observations and mentoring from some of the current college officials. You'll complete an application, and it's listed there, but we'll go through this. What we need is people to notify me if they're interested in this. And I've got a list of 5 names from last year. I want to make sure and kind of start over. I have that list, but I want to make sure that those 5 people are still interested and add anybody else to it. We have about a 50% attrition rate. So 50% of the people that go make it to college, 50% do not. A lot of those guys that don't make it come back the next year and try again, and a lot of them make it too, but this is not a guarantee. So that's kind of the candidate process. It all runs through me. We usually have a tryout traditionally that's been held in Ohio, which is a pain in the ass. I'm trying to work out something. I had something set up for last year before it blew up with COVID. I'm trying to do the same thing this year and get a tryout out here locally so that we can get guys to not have to drive and spend a night in Ohio and drive back and blah, blah, blah. It's not necessary. So we're trying to get a tryout much closer to home in the Chicago or Wisconsin area. And that would apply to anybody here for Illinois and anybody listening in the great state of Wisconsin. So all that runs through me. I'll be talking to everybody who is interested and then trying to figure out how best to see and evaluate and guide you through this. Okay. So there's a lot going on in Q&A and chat, but I'll get to those. And if you have questions and you have interest, I'll grab your names off chat here before we're done. But I think for right now, Jeremy, we can move on. The last thing I want to do, you can say goodbye, but yeah. The last thing I want to do is talk to the college guys, if there are still college guys on. Jeremy, we still have college guys on?
Yeah, we got about still like about 30 of us. Want me to stop the record? Want me to stop the recording now, Dave, or no?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
good. I think we're good with that.
All right. Stop.